Welcome back to the Jacksonville Buzz. I'm Mike White. Join me today is Daniel Beaty with Auditmacs. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike.
So tell me about Auditmacs. I see you guys, you're very involved in the community, but what is it you guys actually do?
Yeah, so I think of it kind of in three big buckets. The first is, as the audit part of the Auditmacs name implies, telecom expense management. So that means that we're going to look at customers' invoices. We're going to audit those, make sure they're being billed correctly for the correct services at the correct rates. And then each quarter we'll go through and do deep dive audits to make sure that they're with the right provider. So also includes contract management as well. What that entails is basically when a customer is on a particular solution, we know, because we know the industry so well, we know that if the rates are currently paying are good or bad, how those compare and benchmark back to market rates. So we can help them make decisions about potentially making changes from a vendor perspective as well. That's basically the audit part. Also includes bill pay and some other services included in that as well. But that's how we cut our teeth 16 years ago. The second big bucket is device logistics. And the logistics side of the house is basically a solution where we will do imaging, kitting, procurement, deployment of hardware. And hardware of all types. So that's going to be iPhones, iPads, Android, Apple, everything from mobile devices that you'd carry in your pocket to desktops and thin clients, and think any type of computing device, big or small.
You're smiling as you explain this, like you're geeking out on it, like you.
Well, my background is in engineering, right.
So you enjoy what you do.
I love it. Yeah, I'm CTO, and most of my career has been in technology. Okay. So I started as an IT director, and then moved into a technical sales position probably 15 years ago. So yeah, I do get excited about the technology behind it. So, and
there's a third bucket.
There's a third bucket. The third bucket is what we call sourcing, and that's what I focus on as CTO primarily. So you could also think of it like technical consulting. So a client would come to us and say, "Hey, we've got a solution in place. We don't love it. It's old. It's ancient. It doesn't meet our needs. Can you help?" And so Auditmacs and myself and others there would sit down and do a needs analysis and even go so far as to interview different departments and groups inside the company and come up with a solution that matches those needs. And that could be anything from a new SD-WAN network to new unified communications or handsets or voice, really any types of solutions like that.
So if you break it down, and your company is very complex, but so break it down to very simple is for a company, what type of business is a customer of yours?
Yep.
How many employees?
Our focus is typically on the larger scale. Okay. Because of the audit side, when you think about, a smaller SMB type customer is probably going to be doing their own audits. That's kind of the AP down the hall can do that because they're only receiving 15 invoices perhaps. Right. So that piece is pretty easy for them. So because of that, we typically focus on, I think of it as, anywhere between 500 and 10,000, and we have a handful of clients that are, into 30, 40,000 employees. But typically a larger type business because they've got the complexities that are they're keeping them up at night that we can come in and really shine on.
So you guys offer the additional bandwidth. You're the extension of their IT department. So what you're saying is a company gets a new employee, you provide them a ready-to-go clean device. So when they show up to work, they're ready to go, correct?
Yep.
All right. And how do you protect data then? Is that ever an issue with companies that they're worried about what's on those tablets or devices?
Sure. Yeah. So data security is a huge part of our business, actually. And it really comes in two flavors. As you mentioned, the devices out in the field. So that iPhone or Android tablet that someone has they're working on, there's typically company data on that. So for that type of scenario, we would recommend an MDM solution, mobile device management, what that stands for. So our team is well versed and trained in things like AirWatch and SODI, Mobile Iron, and a handful of others. So we will actually install and then manage, from an administrative standpoint, those MDM solutions for our customers. After the device has been through its life cycle and it gets returned to us, to our depot, there's still data on it, right? So we then have to go through the effort to clean that device up, which we'll do. In our facilities, we do triple wipes on all the hard drives. It's DoD, NIST standards on everything. And then we'll actually give the client back a certificate of destruction, and even do photographs and physical destruction of hard drives if need be, whatever it takes to satisfy their compliance needs.
What happens if you come into a business and they've already got all the technology? They've got a bunch of old tablets and computers, hardware, and they don't necessarily want to go purchase everything new. Do you assist in taking their old devices, cleaning them up? How does that process work?
We would. So typically they would give us a list of what they feel is still compatible and usable in the field. And we'll take all the gear from them. If it's on the list and something they can redeploy, then we would grab that equipment, we would refurbish it, we'd physically clean it, we test all the ports, we test the power ports and the hard drives and the whole deal. And then we'll deploy that out for them. We'll re-image it, put their applications back on it, and to make it usable again. So that's a huge savings for them, because otherwise they'd just be buying a brand new device. If it's reached end of life and it's a device that they don't feel like is serviceable, then we'll take that device. We perform the same functions on it, but we don't redeploy it. We'll do a resale on it. And then we take some of the revenue and do a split back with the client. So we actually end up cutting them a check for that old gear that was sitting in a closet somewhere.
What's one of the biggest checks you might have cut somebody in a year?
Wow. I'm thinking of one of our large clients. I know we've done $250,000 in checks back to them.
And you can use that to purchase more hardware.
And then you purchase more hardware. And in some cases, they keep that as an Auditmacs credit, and it stays on their account. And then when we do new deployments and other services for them, they just eat away at that credit.
So I know in our company, basically when it hits the graveyard, we just get rid of it. So do a lot of companies just get rid of it, and now you're finding a way to either repurpose, resell, and give them money off that? Or
yes, most of the time we find that companies are actually paying a service fee to get it taken away. Really? And I've seen as much as $500 to $700 per pallet to take those devices away and then clean them up and get rid of them. And we sort of flipped that model on its head, and we changed that from an outlay of cash to us returning money back to them. So,
and I saw something research on your website, something CMAS.
Oh, CMAS, yeah.
What is that? So there's all these abbreviations as you do, but tell me about CMAS.
Somebody should write a book on all the telecom.
Someone like acronyms. You who smiles while you're talking about telecom.
Right, yeah. So CMAS, it's carrier management as a service. That's the as part, and you see that a lot now. There's software as a service, infrastructure as a service. A lot of things are as a service because, in general terms, companies across the globe are trying to move away from big CapExes, and they like the as a service model. It looks better on the books, and it's a more predictable cost for them. So that's why we've termed it that. The carrier management portion is it's really a collection of services that we've traditionally offered really for years, and our customers have purchased those services from us, but we now provide it as a service. So it includes a handful of things. It includes it's mainly related to circuits and carrier relationships and things like that. That's the carrier management part of it. But it's going to include anything related to a circuit. So you think about you come to me and say, hey, I need a new 100 meg circuit at this location, 123 Main Street. And you don't know, it's in Wyoming somewhere. You don't know anything about what's available there. So without the service, you would have to task your team to go find out what are the carriers available, what's the pricing look like, what are the terms, what speeds are available, and a whole list of things. And then that's even before you order the circuit. So then you place the order, you have to follow it through to resolution, get it installed, and then you've got to manage it once it's there. manage the contracts and inventories and things like that. So the
Just
CMAS,
hearing about it makes me want to hire somebody
kinda
like you to
complex.
handle all that.
Right, yeah. So the CMAS offering bundles all those pieces together, and Auditmacs will handle all those services on your behalf. So we will handle the circuit quoting and do the research to find out the carriers that are available, what speeds are out there, make recommendations in regards to that, contract terms and things of that nature. And then we'll actually get the circuit installed, which is sometimes pretty tough. I mean, if that takes an on-site technician and scheduling techs and all those pieces and parts, our team handles all that.
So it sounds like from cradle to grave, Auditmacs has a solution.
Yeah, and
business.
then even after it's installed, we're managing going forward the inventory. So, and remember, a lot of our clients are larger. So if they may have 200 to 300 locations, there might be a circuit or two at each of those. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of circuits. And what we find is a lot of our clients are actually keeping that circuit inventory on a spreadsheet somewhere that gets old and outdated. And because we ask these questions in meetings, and a lot of times they're kind of looking at each other like, I don't know, Mike, do you have the spreadsheet?
So with employee turnover, they could lose that very easily and have to start back over.
They can lose it, and it just gets outdated. So we actually store all that inventory along with the contract data, so that they're going to be able to know end dates. We publish it all on a portal and make it available to the client. Then we manage all those circuits. So all your network monitoring is included in that CMAS as well. We have a 24/7 service desk. So if a circuit drops at 3 a.m., our team is on the phone with the carrier, and they're going to see that through to resolution. Until
it's a lot of logistics involved in that. So
yeah, and you know, it's not anything that a typical client probably couldn't do themselves. But what we hear a lot is, wow, I'm paying one of my IT guys 70, 80, 90K a year to sit on hold with Comcast at 3 a.m. to get these circuits back up. And so they're more than happy to pay us on the CMAS side to handle all those headaches for them.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I appreciate you coming on the program and talking.
bet.
When you write that book, I would love to read it.
Sure, I'll let
That's a
you
lot
know.
of information. Thank you for joining us on Jacksonville Buzz. To find out more about Auditmacs, visit auditmacs.com. We'll see you next time.